The kid hiked up the dark stairwell to the 6th floor, hoping only for a decent tip, maybe 15 cents. Busting up a Russian spy ring was an unexpected bonus. It was a Friday afternoon in June 1953, collection day for Jimmy Bozart, a 13-year-old paperboy for the Brooklyn Eagle. The newspaper cost 35 cents a week, and most people threw in an extra nickel or dime. The two retired teachers on the top floor of this apartment building were a bit more generous. They usually gave him 2 quarters. Jimmy knocked on the teacher's door. One of the women greeted him and dropped coins into his hand, more coins than usual. To be polite, he waited until the door was closed to look down at his palm. It was good. 1 quarter and 5 nickels. But as Jimmy started down the stairwell, his heel caught on a step and the money went flying. Coins bounced down the stairs, clanking and spinning. He scrambled after them. He found the quarter first, then 4 of the nickels. Where was the other one? The bulb in the ceiling fixture was out. Searching step by step in faint light angling in from a high window, Jimmy spotted the familiar sight of Thomas Jefferson's Monticello home. The back of a nickel. Only the back. Jimmy picked up the sliver of silvery metal. The coin had no front. He found the other side of the coin on the landing. It had the usual front and smooth sides of a Jefferson nickel, but it was hollow. Something was wedged in the space inside, something square and black. It looked like a tiny piece of film. Jimmy pried the thing out and held it up to the window. He saw tiny numbers printed on the film, groups of 5-digit numbers typed in neat columns. Some kind of secret code? Jimmy raced home, wondering what he'd found. Everyone knew that Soviet spies had stolen American atomic bomb secrets during World War II. Now, with the United States and the Soviet Union locked in the Cold War, there must be new enemy spies out there. Could this coin have anything to do with that? At the Bozart family apartment, Jimmy's dad studied the tiny piece of film through a magnifying glass. He had no idea what it was, or what the numbers meant. He told his son that he'd better show the strange find to the police. Jimmy thought of Carolyn Lewind, a girl in his 8th grade class whose dad was a detective. He ran to her apartment building and showed the coin and the film to Carolyn and her mother. But the detective was still at work. Jimmy dropped the coin into his pocket and left. When Carolyn's father came home, his wife told him that a red-haired kid named Jimmy Bozart had come by with a hollow nickel and some kind of coded message he'd found inside. Detective Lewind growled at her for letting the kid leave with potentially explosive evidence of espionage. He hurried to the Bozarts' apartment. Mr. Bozart didn't know where his son was. He mentioned that his wife was playing bingo at a nearby church. Maybe she'd seen the boy. The detective charged into the church and interrupted the game. No Jimmy. Lewind seized the bingo prize money just in case the nickel had somehow wound up there. He stepped outside and saw a man pushing an ice cream cart down the sidewalk. He grabbed the ice cream man's change too, just in case. Then he turned and saw a bunch of boys playing stickball in the street. He looked the kids over, one by one. His gaze froze on a kid with red hair and freckles, about his daughter's age. Barging into the game, he said, "You're Bozart?" Jimmy nodded. "What did you do with the nickel?" Jimmy reached into his pocket and held it out. The man snatched the coin. He pulled a nickel from his own pocket and handed it over. "So you're not out anything?" the detective said. Jimmy took the new coin and went back to playing stickball. He would be a college student by the time he realized that he'd stumbled into a series of events that were moving the globe's two great powers to the brink of the third and final World War.